Brings us to step number 3, which is to translate these priorities into system capabilities. So the point of this exercise is now to take all these priorities and feed it into the CBTC system and try to find out what are the capabilities that the CBTC system has to do. Now, we're kind of getting into the engineering side here, but it is still not a requirement specification. We're just taking broad topics, making broad brush comments about how the system should behave from a user's perspective. So that's the green arrows feeding into the CBTC system. The blue arrows are, well, the operating environment may need to be adapted to work with the CBTC application, because keep in mind, the reason the CBTC application is being deployed is to take advantage of efficiencies, to be able to pump more trains through the system, bring trains closer together. Well, if you're putting a system like this into a system that had a traditional conventional system, well, the operating environment may not be suited for a CBTC application, which means you have to modify your environment or adapt your environment to work with the capabilities that a CBTC system has to offer. And that's the blue lines that are coming out, that are radiating out from the CBTC system itself. So when we're defining CBTC capabilities, we're going to try to create some bigger topics. So if we look at the operators, we realize that all their concerns and priorities are issues that are related to central control. So we create a topic called central control. And everything that's in the red circle there would fall under this category. For the instructors, they're concerned with simulators. So we create a topic called simulators, and all topics related to that, such as trackside central and vehicle simulator, would fall under this subcategory. For the IT personnel, we'll just create a topic called network, and anything related to the wireless and the wired network would fall under that category. For train drivers, they're concerned with everything that's on the train, so we create a subgroup or a topic called train, and anything related to the train would fall under that category. For maintenance personnel, we just create a topic called maintenance, and then we can maybe break it down further and call it trackside vehicle personnel, and every single topic for maintenance would fall under there. For emergency first responders, we would have an emergency response category, and anything related to emergencies would fall under this topic. Now for passengers, you can't really create a topic on its own, so we would feed some of their priorities and concerns into existing topics. Things like, if you look at the blue arrows, the platform doors and train performance, they're clearly train issues. So you'd put those topics into the train category. The green arrows for on-time service and overcrowding on the platform, these are more central type of issues where you're trying to service a platform or you're trying to make sure the system is on time. So we would feed those two topics into the central control category. Now, once you've finished that exercise, you'll also realize there are certain concerns or priorities which are common to several users. Redundancy is one of them. The operators are concerned with the redundancy, central trackside vehicle network. IT personnel are concerned with redundancy at the network layer. Train drivers are concerned with redundancy on the train and the trackside. So if you see something that's common like that, I would create a separate topic and call it redundancy, just to make sure that the type of requirements we're writing isn't focused on any one user, it is addressing all users or the entire system at the same time. Diagnostics is another category. Operators need diagnostics, IT personnel need diagnostics, and trackside vehicle maintenance personnel need diagnostics. Now, the diagnostics is not the same for each user, but you do want a diagnostics architecture that is that'll serve the entire organization at the same time. You, again, don't want to create diagnostics that's focused on any one user. It needs to be a systems view of diagnostics to make sure everyone's needs are addressed. So we would create a topic called diagnostics. Finally, passenger information announcement system, the PIS-PAS, it didn't really fall into a category by itself. So we would create a category or a topic called PIS-PAS on its own, and this address all passenger-related issues. You may rename PIS-PAS to passengers or riders, and list out some topics that are of concern to the riders, to the ridership that doesn't necessarily fall into other categories. So once we create all the system capabilities, we now need to kind of define the subtopics within each one of those capabilities. Now, I'm not going to go through every single topic that I identified earlier, but I'll give one example. If we look at simulators, we have trackside vehicle central simulators as well as the training material. For each one of those subgroups, we would expand on it further, indicating what type of simulator we want. What should it be able to do for the instructor to be able to do their job. So in this section here, we would now expand on the capabilities of that particular subgroup and the material. And if you do that for each and every single topic, you'll have an understanding of the type of system that or the type of system that you need, or the capabilities that you need from the CBTC solution that's delivered by the supplier. Now, the next topic is modifying the operating environment. Now, as I mentioned earlier, not only are you defining capabilities that you're expecting from the CBTC solution, but you also want to understand the capabilities that CBTC brings to the table and whether or not the operating environment needs to be modified. And the purpose here is to take advantage of the capabilities that CBTC has to offer. You don't want to be stuck in a traditional model with a brand new system. So you need to take a critical look at your environment and determine, okay, do we need this department still, or do we need to change their job responsibilities? Do we need to get different type of people in these roles to be able to manage the CBTC system? These are the sort of questions that need to be answered to see how the operating environment is going to be modified. And it's not a question of if it should be modified, it is a question of what's going to be modified, because it really does change how the organization operates in this new signaling environment. So you need to ask these questions as part of the ConOps to understand how you will adapt your operating procedures and whatnot.